Hello and welcome to a Roblox scripting tutorial. This is going to be a specific tutorial about making an oxygen bar that will only appear when you're inside of smooth terrain water. As you see, this is what it's going to do. Swimming, I'm going to my beautiful cave, and you see this depletes. If you jump out, it's gone, the air comes back, and so on. Even if you go on land. Now I'm going to show you how to make this. Now, I already have a prepared script and GUI. Now, as you see, I already have all the starting ready in the variables. So we're just getting parts of the GUI, and we're getting our player. We want to wait for our character to exist before we continue because we need certain parts of his body, which will be his humanoid. And this is our oxygen. Our max being 20, and we're going to set our current to 20. This variable will be used to check to see if we're in or out of the water. And this will be used, as you will see how this will be used, but it's going to be basically similar to swim. These are two services. Terrain, we're going to use to check voxels and see what is inside. A voxel is a space where terrain can be. Like right here, this is a space of a voxel, more than one voxel, with water in it. And above it would be air. Then voxels with sand, grass is mud inside, mud, and so on. And this will be used to see if we press spacebar, the UIS, which is user input service. Now to start, we're going to make a function. I'm going to speed this up as you see me type it, and then I'm going to tell you about it. The function will be called underwater check. Alright, this function, as you see, will check if we're underwater using head. We're going to make sure the head exists, then we're going to make it start as if we're in water. So, local offset, we're going to use this to properly set up our region 3. This giving us the size so we can place the positions correctly, because you need to give 2 positions to make a region 3. So get our 2 points also using this offset in comparison to head, its position. Then local R3 short for region 3 equals region3.new, give it our 2 points. And because this will be pretty small, we have to do expand to grid. This will be too small for like a voxel grid, so we're going to increase it by doing expand to grid and give it a resolution of 4. Then local TBL, our table for short, use a method in terrain, read voxels, R3, which is our region 3, pass that, plus a 4, same here for the resolution. This will give us a table, hence the name. And in this table, we're going to iterate, making value of material. This is a variable. In pairs. The way the table we are given is set up, I figured this is the best way to collect the information we need. Going to the second entry inside, which is the table, and then to the table inside of the second entry, giving us our materials. So if this material is an enum.material.air, meaning it's an air material, which is basically nothing, then in water equals false, because if there's air, we're not in the water. This would be material dot water if we were in the water. Now that's done, we need to make an event to make sure we know if we are if we started in the water or if we're on the land moving and so on. We're also going to use user input. Now I'm going to quickly type this and then show you. Now this would have taken a bit longer to type, but this is all that I just added. So, the humanoid has an event of swimming. This fires when you start going in the water and swim. Now, if the variable swim is false, we're going to make it true, and then we're going to make the frame visible, allowing us to see our oxygen bar. After that, we're going to use the user input service to make sure we get that if they pressed space, which is what this checks for, and if their swim variable is true, meaning they're in the water, we're going to make ended equals false. This means the person is holding space or something. Then we're going to make ended equals false. This will be used later. And in UIS, then we're going to do another thing with UIS is input ended. This time with a variable instead of pressed, we'll use released. So if they're swimming and they release this, then ended equals true. Because if they're not going to be jumping, then they're probably not going to make it out of the water to get air, which will be used right here. Then we're going to move on to our repeat wait. So if not, underwater check. Now if you went up here and saw return in water, assuming that air is here, in water becomes false. Meaning when we return this, the function becomes true. The function becomes false. But if we didn't return anything, the function would become true. Right here. Because this was never changed. Now, so assuming this is false, and this is true, we're going to make swim become false, ending this. Also, because we're not swimming if we're in the air, then make the frame disappear. Correct our oxygen so it becomes full because we're out to get a breath of air. And then tween the size all the way to fill. So the next time it appears, it'll be full. And then ended equals true because everything that would occur here is done. If this becomes 0, we're dead, so there's really no point in spamming this loop. Because we're already dead, why would we need oxygen? And after this chunk is gone, hum.running is another event that instead of swimming, will fire if we are on land and moving. So if we're on land and moving, and swim is still true, we want to make it become false. And because we're on land, we want to fill our air again. And surface GUI has to become false so we don't see it, the visibility. Now we're going to speed up the typing for the next part. So for this part, this is just a loop that we will use to decrease the oxygen if we're in water, which is why swim becomes true, because we will be in water. That means every second this fires, we will cause this if it's not going to be below 0 when we subtract it, we will get rid of 1, and if it becomes 0 below, we will kill the player because they ran out of oxygen. Now if they're on land, which swim would be false, hence in the else, and the oxygen is not full, we want to replenish this, assuming they're still alive. Because we're out in the open where there is air. Now this is here because it will allow us to adjust the bar beforehand, making it look nicer. So if we died, it may adjust. Now, let's test out this script and see if it works. Make sure that you actually have smooth terrain water so you can go in it and test this GUI. So it's declining, it's good. Still get to view this amazing cave. And now that our air is getting low, we might want to get back up. Holding space, now we're up, filled. Now we're just on land, no bar. Everything seems to be working fine. No errors in the output. So, I hope you learned something. I will have this script in the description, or maybe a paste bin. I'll see what happens. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video for more Roblox scripting tutorials.